I was able to see the true version of Islam. People are misled into thinking that Islam is something that it's not, and that it is tied to violence, to terrorism. But if you read the Quran, violence is not permissible unless for self-defense or fighting oppression. It's like Islamophobia is behind almost every hate I see come from like white supremacists. It's an excuse to perpetuate more evil. My name is Nicole Collier. I am 23. I grew up in Georgia, a little north of Atlanta. I was raised in a Christian household. My grandfather was a priest. My parents took me to church every single Sunday. I didn't have many friends. I felt isolated in my teenage years because I didn't have many friends. I spent a lot of time reading and researching. That's kind of how I became aware of what's happening in the world. My relationship with Christianity in my teenage years was very different in my church, in my community, because of the way I would ask questions. So I went to church every single Sunday, and I would complain. I would be a brat. I would be like, I don't want to go. I would take my time in the mornings, and then I would get yelled at, hurry up, like, you're going to be a bad Christian. I'm not going to raise you to be a bad Christian. And I would beg my parents, please let me make my own decision about religion, and I don't want to go to church. My later teenage years, going into my adulthood, I didn't call myself any religion. I believe in God, but I'm not religious. I figured out that Islam's view of Jesus as a messenger of God after I had already formed that on my opinion. And it was actually my roommate told me that because she's Muslim. And she was like, yeah, that's actually how it is. Like justice in the world and kindness. And she's like, these are all like principles and lessons that Muslims, live and present in action in life. This I identify with. I felt a lot that what is taught in Islam resonated with my values and what I had already felt like was in my heart. So after October 7th happened, because I was already aware of the situation in Gaza and also Palestine, I knew that the consequences were going to be something we've never seen before. Did I know it would be on this scale? Absolutely not. I don't think anybody would expect human beings to do this to another human being. Mothers holding their dead children, of fathers pulling their children's body parts out of the rubble, elderly people having to walk for miles to find food, peeling kittens out of the rubble. And I saw the video Soul of My Soul, and I saw how he was talking about his granddaughter or his daughter, and he was smiling at her, and he was just saying, like, God is great, you are in a better place, he will take care of you, and all of these very resilient and strong things. to be a witness to one of humanity's worst crimes ever. I want to have that kind of security, and I want to have that kind of love. And so that's when I started taking Islam seriously, and I started looking into what reverting would look like. So I started thinking and looking into Islam about 2022. I was just at a moment in my life where I was like, I want to learn about other religions. I ordered a Quran. I just started reading, and I started reading interpretations of the Quran. I saw that the core principles of Islam, of how a Muslim should lead their life, resonated with how I wanted to lead my life. How I saw the world, and how justice and generosity and gratitude and charity and respect, diversity, all of these things that I held and thought was important in the world is important in this religion. And so I just kept learning about it and eventually reverted. And it's been the best decision of my life. I was able to see the true version of Islam just through talking to my Muslim friends, hearing them talk about Islam, and coming to my own conclusion that there was a huge misconception. People are misled by the media, by our government, by the ambitions of our government, into thinking that Islam is something that it's not, and that it is tied to violence, and that it is tied to terrorism. But if you read the Quran and if you know Islam, violence is not permissible unless for self-defense or fighting oppression. So I was able to come to my own conclusion about how the West sees Islam is skewed in lies and manipulation and hate. It's like Islamophobia is behind almost every hate I see come from like white supremacists. It's an excuse to perpetuate more evil.
Ney? Aşkın, ayrılığın ve vuslatın sesi. İnsanlar yaratılmadan önce ruhları yaratılıyor. Sonrasında insanlar dünyaya geliyor ve bir ayrılık hikayesini, asıl mekanından uzaklaşmanın acısıyla bir ayrılık hikayesini anlatıyor.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm here in Istanbul to learn more about Islam, especially about jihad and justice. Could you explain that to me?
Sure. Okay, so the concept of jihad is actually very essential in Islam and a beautiful concept, unlike some people might imagine, because jihad literally means to struggle, to make an effort. And when you make an effort for a good cause, that is called jihad. And it has different levels, different aspects. One that is called actually a greater jihad is a struggle against your own ego, against yourself, against your evil desires. And another level of jihad is verbal jihad, when you make an effort with your words, like speaking for justice, speaking against oppression, trying to correct things with your words. In modern times, you can do it when you use the social media effectively to raise your voice against oppression, against injustice.
If the other side is immoral and kills women and children and non-combatants, how to deal with that kind of enemy that has no morals or rules in war or in combat?
Another level of jihad, which usually comes first in mind, but in fact is a lesser jihad, I would say, is combative jihad. This also exists in Islam. When there is a physical attack, we are allowed, and actually we should, defend ourselves, our lives, our possessions, our territory, and we should also fight for our rights. This is combative jihad.